about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Marty Steinberg. He says he sold a special computer cutting machine to the defendant. The guy gave him a deposit and then never went through with the deal. He took the machine off the market when he received the deposit, is ready, willing, and able to go through with the deal, and wants the defendant to pay the balance of $5,000 for the machine as per their agreement. This is the defendant, Douglas Bruno. He says the plaintiff went berserk on him because he wanted a few questions answered about the piece of equipment he was considering buying. He was all set to pick the machine up, but in the plaintiff's fit of rage, he was kicked off the property. Now the nut job is suing him in court? Good luck, dude. He's accused of backing out. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,050 for the return of his deposit and harassment.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Thank you.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. The People's Court, Judge Marilyn Milian. Can I have this?
You got it.
Yay!
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff sold a special computer cutting machine to the defendant, and the defendant allegedly bailed. But the defendant says the plaintiff was unstable and kicked him off his property, so no way would he go through with the deal. It's the case of the unkindest cutting machine of all.
Douglas, Marty Steinberg, you are suing Douglas Bruno for $5,000. Your damages, according to you, exceed that. The purchase price of a machine that, according to you, the defendant bought from you and has never picked up. You have a counterclaim against him for $50 deposit for that machine and $1,000 for harassment. Okay, tell me what's going on.
In November of 2013, I placed an ad on Craigslist to sell a machine.
What kind of machine?
This is a CNC machine. CNC means computer numerical control. I have a picture of it here if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, and what does it do?
Okay, this machine cuts wood in any form that you can draw on a computer. Mr. Bruno.
And why did you have that machine?
I buy these machines and I cut various parts with them, and I design stuff, and I'm sort of an inventor of different things, and I use the machines to cut out the components.
Okay, do you sell any of the stuff that you...
No, I don't sell the stuff at all. I do sell a machine from time to time, as I often do.
How many of those machines do you own?
At the present, I own 3.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you put an ad in Craigslist. He answered it.
Right.
All right.
Got an email from Mr. Bruno telling me he was interested in the machine. Mr. Bruno and his wife came over to my home in Merrick to see the machine. They came over on November 18th, 2013. They spent a couple of hours there looking at the machine, seeing how it worked. And
did you use it in front of them so they could see the result?
Yes.
Do you have any samples of the result?
I do.
I'll give you this one first.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. The People's Court, Judge Marilyn Milian. Can I have this?
You got it.
Yay! I promise you it won't have any effect on my case.
Not a problem.
So why did you want the machine?
I designed a bird feeder, and I'm trying to put on the market, and this would help me make a lot of parts fast.
Right.
But I have samples also that probably don't look anything like yours.
Let me see what you've got. No, they don't. And where did these come from?
Same person.
The same machine?
Yes.
Okay, were these the samples that you got when you bought the machine?
When Marty was showing me the machine, those are the samples he made.
Before or after you bought it?
Well, the one of them has a date on the back, That's when I gave him a deposit.
Yeah. So you saw how it worked, you liked it, and you bought it, right?
Well, sorta.
Well, not sort of. You either did or didn't. Did these come before you bought them, signed a contract? Because you signed a little
Right,
contract.
and Marty was stating that, you know, he would fine-tune it and the samples would come out better.
Oh,
And
why
we never
wouldn't you
got to
wait
that point.
to buy the machine until you saw if the samples came out better?
Well,
Are you saying that you think these were done on a different machine because they're so nice?
No, maybe he got better at it now. This happened 7 months ago.
Or maybe fine-tuned it. I don't know.
Maybe
Did these come from the same machine?
Yes, ma'am.
Cut to commercial. Testimony continues.
He turned around, called me a liar, said, "Get off my property. I'm calling the police," and threw me and my wife out of the garage.
Plaintiff sold a pretty cool computerized cutting machine to the defendant, but the deal fell apart when these guys blew up at each other. Let's listen.
What I care about is not whether I think these are good or bad. It's what you thought. So what is the day that he signs the contract with you?
The contract, which I have right here, is dated November 18th, 2013.
Yeah.
This is the original contract with his
Right.
signature on the yellow page.
Yeah. Okay. And the original contract names the seller, names the buyer, has the date, total price 50. Is it 5,200?
Yes.
And then deposit. The only deposit he gave you was $50?
He didn't have any money with him. His wife was with him, and she had to give him $50, which he in turn gave to me as
Okay, so
consideration.
5,152. Machine must be moved out by 11/25?
Yes.
All right. And did that happen on 11/25?
He never moved the machine. The machine is still in my garage.
What happened on 11/25 when he didn't show up?
Well, he never really, he said, look, I'm not sure that I want the machine now. My shop is a mess. I have wood all over the place. I just bought a bandsaw, which is another kind of machine, and I'm not certain I want to do this. So I told him, I said, look, you have a signed agreement here, which is a commitment on the part of my part and your part.
So he wants you to do what you contracted to do. He wants you to buy the machine and finish paying for it and take it off his property. What's the problem?
The problem is Marty. Me and my wife went there. I arranged for a shipper to pick up the machine. I went there to pay him, pick up the little stuff, asked him a few questions. I said maybe I should buy the smaller machine that he has because I'm cutting cedar,
Don't you
which
think
is a
these kind of
softer
the kinds
wood.
of things you should know before you sign the contract to buy the machine?
I had a little problem finding somebody to move it because I was shocked that it was so hard to get somebody to move this machine. We went there to pay him. He was calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning, calling constantly. We went there to pay him in full, pick up the small stuff, and the shipper was coming on Monday at 9 o'clock because he was leaving that Wednesday or Thursday for Florida. I asked him a few questions. I told him I had the moving guy for 9 o'clock Monday morning. He turned around, called me a liar, said, "Get off my property. I'm calling the police," and threw me and my wife out of the garage.
But what
and
made
then
him
closed
call
the
you a
door.
liar and say...
Because he says nobody has a moving company on call like that. And I was, like I said, I was more
Or was it
interested
that you
in
were
the
telling
machine.
him you weren't sure you wanted the machine?
No, I didn't say that. He
Well,
said
you said to him, maybe I
He
should
said
buy...
that I said
no,
that.
you
I didn't say
said that you said to him, maybe I should buy the smaller machine. He doesn't
not
want
the
to sell
bigger
you the small machine. He already sold the bigger machine. He wants this one out.
Well, then why is he calling me a liar when I tell him I have a moving van? Why is he
What
calling
do
me a
you
liar
say
when I brought
happened
all
when
the
he
money?
came over that day?
I am saying he never came over that day. He never said he had a trucker.
Did you ever throw him out?
I never threw him out.
Did you ever see him again after the day that he signed the contract?
Yes, he
Okay.
came over. He had a lot of questions about, can you do this? Can you do that?
All right.
I told him that it had to be out by the 25th because I'm a snowbird. I go to Florida on December 3rd.
Did you ever have a fight with him on your property, yes or no?
Never.
Do you have any proof of what you testified to?
My wife
Come on
was
up.
here.
And do you? What about the mover? Oh no, there wasn't a mover there.
I have a mover. His name was Santini. I
No,
don't have
was
his
he
number.
present at that time?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
This was all done
Was there
over the
any other
phone.
witness present besides you and your wife
Just
who
my
obviously
wife.
want to win, and him and his wife who obviously want to win their case? Okay. All right, talk to me and tell me what happened.
Hi, Your Honor. Just as my husband had stated, Mr. Steinberg, he just decided at this time when we came to come pay for the machine in full, he just decided at that time, he told my husband he was a liar. He wanted us off the property. He started to do a
see, your story, let me tell you why your story doesn't make sense. Because all the guy wants is his stuff up. He wants to get paid in full. And he wants the machine gone. But mostly he wants to get paid in full. So if you were there to truly pay him in full, why would he get mad at you and throw you off his property? He'd just take your money.
We'd like to know that ourselves, Honor. That's why we're here.
It's a question for us.
We're very bewildered about that ourselves. We have no idea why he did that.
Well, then why didn't you come the next day and buy it? If you think you just had a bad day, why didn't you come back the next day with the money?
Well, when somebody insults you and throws you off the property and threatens to call the police when you bring over $5,000 to his house.
What happened between November and the time you got sued? Did you ever get any phone calls or letters?
He called me once to try to sell me. He told me he had 3 machines at the house. Maybe we could work another deal. I went to go see him. The third time when I went to his house this year, he had everything on the smaller machine, nothing on the bigger machine. And then that started throwing some questions out, like, I don't know if this guy really knows how to work the machine.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Will the plaintiff get $5 grand? Judge Millian rules next. So if this defendant really is telling the truth that the plaintiff flipped out, kicked him off the property, can he walk away from the deal?
No, a deal's a deal. We signed a contract. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean you don't stand up to your obligation.
You're nodding, except at a point, I mean, if the guy kicks you off the property, you can't go through with the deal.
A deal is a deal. You signed a contract. That's binding.
It's making it impossible for you to go through with it if he kicks you off the property.
Well, if the contract doesn't say anything about kicking off the property, then it's not part of it.
Guys are harsh going inside the courtroom.
I don't know computers. He was going to program what I needed to be done, so all I would have to do was put a thumb drive in the side of this machine, put the part in, push a button, and walk away.
But you know that's not in your contract.
But I'm a hands-on type of guy. There's a lot of things in the contract that this man said that
No,
are not
there's what you said is not in your contract. That he would program for you your business. That's not in your contract. Your contract just says you're coming on the 23rd to take the machine and pay in full. That's all it says.
The problem happened back in 2013, not in 2014. What he's talking about is what happened
November
in 2013.
Right.
In 2013, we went there to pay him for the machine in full. And he threw us off the property.
Yeah, but apparently you went back again in 2014?
5 months later, he called up, apologized.
And so you went over again to take a look at stuff. And Mr. Bruno, I got to tell you something. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, and I'm going to tell you why I don't believe you. Because if he wants your money and you want to give it to him, I don't see that kind of people here. I see a person who wants the money, and I see a person who can't wait to give it to them. And you know what happens? You give it to him, he accepts the money, and you don't become a court case. So I'm having trouble hearing that you're insisting on paying him and the guy throws you out because he's crazy. I don't see that. Well, I don't see that. I hear instead a person who is giving me a laundry list of things that weren't met. It wasn't good for what I needed it for. It ends up, you know, he's supposed to program, so I just put a thumb drive, all these other things that you wanted the contract to be, which is not what you signed. I didn't sign this. You signed this. And you have to abide by it. On your counterclaim against him, 0. On his claim against you, $5,000. I am going to give you exactly 1 week to pick up the machine. That's my verdict.
All right, both sides are full on right there.
After that, it's yours to sell again.
Thank you.
Plaintiff wins this case, and the defendant has just bought himself a computer cutting machine. What's your reaction to this?
I'm in shock. I tried to buy the machine in November. The man threw me off the property and threatens to call the cops.
Well, the sale's now completed. You happy to get the machine?
No, I don't want the machine.
Absolutely not. We do not want this, and this is not. We went there November 18th.
Doesn't matter.
The machine.
You have a week to pick it up now.
No,
we don't even want this.
He won the money, so he can have it.
He's a con artist. He's a liar.
He's done it to more than one person.
All right, sir, so step on in here. What's your feeling on this outcome now?
I'm very satisfied. I told the absolute truth. He bent the truth substantially. He signed an agreement.
What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Why didn't he go through with it?
I think he changed his mind. He was vacillating, and in fact, he pushed his wife into the point to give me the $50. He didn't have any money for the deposit, so all he had to say to me, he didn't have the money, and I couldn't have a deposit. But as soon as he gave me that deposit, as far as I'm concerned, signed the agreement.
Contract was...
Harvey? Okay, I have to say, I give this guy some grief, but the fact is it's true that if you sign a contract, if there's any way of going through with it, it doesn't matter how difficult the other guy is, you are stuck.
People's Court is a Ralph Edwards Stu Willett production.